All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's do an audio and visual check. You could hear I am freaking sick. Feel like crap, look like crap, but here we are. Let's get everybody. Let's make sure you can hear and see me. Hey, Mike. Hey, Coach. You can see and hear me just fine. Good. Yeah, I've minimized me because I look like crap and I sound like crap. I've been on NyQuil, DayQuil, medicine all weekend. I've had a rough weekend. Um, and there we go. It looks like we're going to be starting out with the fun stuff. Danielle in the chat. There is the bell to bell form. If you missed it, all the check-ins earlier today, get your name on that form. It sounds like we're going to be having this form run throughout the whole session. Topstep likes to spoil you guys. Like, really, Topstep loves to spoil the traders. So big shout out to Daniel. You can see I have a cough drop in, so I bear with me tonight. It's hopefully I'm over this sooner rather than later. But anyways, there's our Topstep risk disclosure. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. Welcome to Slow Markets. We're going to be talking about the live markets, as you can see behind me. Anything that I say is for educational purposes only. Feel free to click on that Topstep risk disclosure and read through it. Yeah, I don't know how much talking I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try and not talk as much, but we do have some manufacturing PMI that's going to be coming out in 30 minutes, and we'll just go through the regular weekend. Yeah, guys, thanks everybody. It was a rough weekend for me. It really was. I mean, just very miserable, staying in bed, not moving around much. And then to top all that off is to be alone while you're sick is even worse, because like you don't get to cuddle up against anybody, you don't get head scratches, you don't get anything. You just get to lay there and you're suffering and feel sick. I was supposed to go camping this weekend, but I didn't. So that was also unfortunate. But yeah, it's pinned to the YouTube chat. So go ahead and click on that. And if you guys missed any of it, that's there for you. Anyway, here is the NASDAQ, the NASDAQ futures. This is a daily chart. And I mean, essentially we've pretty much had a V-shaped recovery, right? This has been a nice V-shaped recovery. You could tell it's earnings week. There's a lot of earnings out because, you know, the NASDAQ, you can see how we've been gapping up and down because earnings come out after the bell. And we've had some crazy news and some crazy earnings going on. As you can see, this was a huge gap up. Google, we all know that Google had some amazing earnings. We've gapped up, and now we're pushing right back to where we were here into this zone. So this, of course, is going to be a key level for the NASDAQ. Whether we keep pushing up higher and maybe test some of this, support, and maybe support becomes resistance. We do have FOMC coming up on Wednesday as well, which is going to be kind of what everyone's waiting for and what we're going to be watching. So I don't have really high expectations going into tonight. And I always like to say, practice what I preach. I want to practice what I preach. And part of that is if you don't feel good, don't trade. So I did trade today, and we could go over my trades earlier today. I obviously stayed home all day. And when you stay home all day, you kind of get stir crazy. You feel like you need to go out, you need to do something. So I did end up trading today. I did pretty well. I was feeling a little bit better this morning, but then it just went downhill from there. I ended up making about like $6,000. And I'll review the trades here on the NASDAQ as well. But here's the hourly chart on the NASDAQ. And we could all see from a very technical standpoint, we are continuing to make these higher lows, and we are continuing to make higher highs. So the next question that we're going to be looking at is, with FOMC coming out, are we going to be consolidating? We do have some earnings tomorrow as well. I think is it Amazon earnings? Let me know in the chat if you guys probably know a lot better than I do if it's Amazon earnings or not. Let's see. But anyway, from a technical standpoint, today was a pretty choppy day. Yeah, Amazon's. Thank you, Sebastian. Amazon. Um, yeah, let's zoom in and I could go over my trades from today. Let's go. Give me a second. I'll connect to my live account. And then we'll go Amazon and AMD. So, man, this is going to be another crazy week for the markets. I'm just waiting to connect my live account. It takes a minute for it to connect. And if you guys do have questions while we wait and whenever I get time, feel free to type them into this chat. We have an amazing team that if I don't get to them, they will send them to me through Messenger, and I typically will get to them a lot better than scrolling through this. So if we zoom in, let's zoom into a 60-minute chart. So we all know that this was the earnings. We had a sell, and this is very basic price action, right? We had a rally, we had a sell-off, we have a rally, pullback, rally. I wasn't trading this pullback, but this was a very great opportunity. Unfortunately, I was just taking a nap off of some NyQuil. This happened during power hour, I believe, where we had that beautiful pullback right around, we could see support and resistance, and we just bounced off that for power hour. Unfortunately, I was not watching it. I did not take that trade. But I wanted to go over the trades that I did take because I feel like it was relatively important. This morning, right as the opening bell I was looking left and I was saying, we have a lot of resistance here. This was a lot of resistance back in April 16th and April 17th. And I was looking at this to have some type of a pullback, very similar to like what we did, after this rally. We rallied. I'm like, okay, well, if we do get a pullback, this would be the area we will have it. So I was looking around this. It's a big zone, right? 930s to 950s in this zone, right at the opening bell. Because I just happened to be awake. I've been waking up really early lately. So let's zoom into a 5-minute chart, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. So here was that opening bell, and sure enough, there we go. There was. You can't really see these trades. It doesn't look too good. Let me zoom into maybe a 1 minute. Maybe a 1 minute will be a little bit better. Yeah, so there's my trades for this morning. Opening bell, we did rally right into that zone that I was talking about earlier. If we zoomed all the way to the left and if we kept going to the left, there was that resistance. So let me. No, it's not going to let me. It's all the way back in April. So yeah, what we were looking at was that 940, 950 zone and the opening bell. Sure enough, we rallied up, and as we started to rally, we started to show some type of reversal. And as soon as we started to reverse, I got into 3 contracts short. Held, of course, closed out one for right down near these lows, and covered another one, and then finally the last one. So that was my bigger trade this morning. It happened really quick. As you can imagine, these are 5-minute candlesticks, or these are 1-minute candlesticks. So it happened in a matter of like 5-10 minutes. And then throughout the day, I just got into a short, and it was pretty similar to if you guys watched the house account. The house account, they were shorting around this area as well, but same concept, right? Like this was acting as support, and I was looking for the support to be resistance. I got in, and I do have to admit, I got in a bit early. I was kind of looking, saying, maybe we could get in here. I should have waited, and I should have had a little bit more patience with hindsight and got in. I could have got a lot better price if I would have waited and had that patience to wait to see if we could get to this resistance. I didn't. It was impatience. We did rally up. I added to it, and I ended up bottom ticking my cover on that one. So that was kind of an intermediate trade around that position. So I added to it there, closed it out right down there at the 60s. And it was just a long, very long, boring, grinding day. as you guys were seeing, if you did trade during the New York session, and you can see just consolidation, chop, chop. Then I was just done. I just closed out of my position. I said whatever, and then I took some medicine and I went and I took a nap. And then when I came back, we finally did get some movement. Let me see. I think maybe that's where I closed my last one. No, sorry, I'm not. I lied, guys. I ended up buying this. There we go. I did have one more last trade, right? Where I did end up buying this pullback. So we came down here, we went up, we went right back down, and this is the same concept that I talk all the time in slow markets. This was support. We broke down below support, broke up above it, and then we had this pullback, and sure enough, support became support again. This was just a really small trade, and then I ended up closing it at 901. So that was the last trade, and then I went to take a nap. And then, of course, we had that crazy sell-off during power hour, and then a rally right back up to the 900s again. So it was an interesting day. Unfortunately, I didn't get to trade. Oh, man, that's ugly. So unfortunately, I didn't get to trade earlier. I didn't get to trade during power hour because I was sleeping. But yeah, I really wish I was awake, because that was an amazing trade, a sell-off right here. And that would have been an amazing opportunity to look to buy the market and rally up into this area. So as we go into tonight, we do have that manufacturing PMI that's going to be coming out in about 15 minutes. Let me see. I'm bullish. I'm bullish going into tonight and going into tomorrow. We do have earnings tomorrow. I think this is just a regular pullback, buy the dip, pullback, buy the dip, and then I think we rally. Maybe we see 18,000. Maybe we definitely come up and see these highs again. That's not very far away, actually. And if we do break up, where could we go? We can definitely start to see, of course, this key level of 18,050. So maybe tomorrow, before earnings, before everything, we actually can get up to 18,050, 18,060 if we do end up breaking to the upside. So I do not want to be a seller in this type of a market, because for me, we're starting to show bullish structure where we're buying higher lows and higher highs. I would look for a break and maybe a test around these 1850s, 1880s. So let's get to some of your guys' questions. While you do that, I'm going to get a drink of water because I need it, as you can tell. Dakota, do I use Bookmap too? I do not use Bookmap. I do not. I have looked at it, but I do not trade it. I'm a very simple trader, guys. I really am a very simple trader. Very simple price action. Keep it super simple. The less things I have to look at, the less I will overcomplicate my trading, and the less room for error that I leave myself. Dakota, what signs of reversals do you look for? How can you detect reversal versus just a retracement? So, very basic technical analysis, right? Everyone, I used to have a poster that I would hang out behind me. Let me see if I could find it. But any type of technical analysis that can signal, the market can start to reverse, right? Typically, it's looking to the left to find support and resistance, 3-bar reversal, double bottom. And TopstepTV has been really amazing at showing some of those reversals and these reversal patterns and technical analysis patterns on TopstepTV, which has been great, right? It was the cat one that said hanging. I know what you mean, Rips. Let me see. I will show you. I had a poster, but you could Google this. I used to have all this stuff memorized. I don't have this stuff memorized anymore, but essentially you could just Google technical analysis. There's so many different technical analysis stuff. Like, I mean, here's just some of it, right? I mean, it's really, really small right here. But when you Google technical analysis, there's so many things that you can look for, and there's no right or wrong way to trade. Keeping it very, very basic, very simple. Chart patterns. I have a poster that I bought online that does some of these very basic chart patterns. So I would recommend maybe looking at this. I'm not saying that this is the right way to trade. Patterns don't work 100% of the time, but they help me identify things in the most simplest and the most basic terms. So look for it, and don't worry about it saying for beginners. To be honest, beginners, advanced, professionals, it's all the same. It's all the same crap. Some of the most simplest stuff is the most profitable stuff for me. And I would take very, very basic beginner technical analysis over someone who tries to overcomplicate it 10 times out of 10. So let's get to some questions, and we'll take a look at some other markets. And I might end class a little early tonight because I am struggling to keep up with this talking and the conversation. It's a lot harder when you're doing it yourself. At least when I have a group, like Andre or Rips or Jay, I could just sit back and let them talk. It's harder for me to keep talking. So I'm just reading through some questions right now. How to build confidence to leave a trade unattended, like to say work or napping. So the way that you build confidence in, say, if you want to leave a trade while you go to sleep, while you're at work, while you're doing something else, is to understand your trading from a risk management standpoint. You guys are able to watch my slow markets class. I talk about trades every single night. We understand risk management. We understand the stop loss. And you know that the market's going to either go up and hit my take profit, or it's going to go down and hit my stop loss. I could only overmanage my trade if I look at it. And you know your statistics, right? You have the confidence in your statistics. And if you lose, it's going to hit your stop loss. And to know and have the confidence that, over the long period of time, your statistics will have a positive expectancy, then yeah, go ahead and leave a trade running and maybe try to do it in a practice account, right? Let's take a look at, crude oil. Let's look at crude oil, and then we'll get to a few more questions. So crude oil, I'm just going to pass on crude, guys. I'm not seeing very much happening on crude oil. This is a 60-minute crude oil chart, and yeah, we've just been sideways. Like it's been choppy. If anything, we're chopping in a trend. This is a bullish channel. If we do break down, then of course we could have a continuation down towards 80. I'm a crude bull. I want to be a buyer of any dip in crude oil. So I would like it if crude did break down. It would give me some opportunities to buy. But I'm going to pass. I think the FOMC minutes is going to be bringing a lot of volatility. And I'm not feeling good, so I'm not going to force anything. Same with gold. I will hurry and mention this real quick. It's the same with gold. It's just been chop, right? Like there's really not much to look at. And there's no trade set up for gold where I'm going to pass. I would rather sit on my hands and not trade and be happy with where I'm at on my trading before I just try and force anything. Now let's get to a few more questions, and I want to show you guys something. I've made this kind of a habit, I guess, showing you guys my live account statistics. But we have 10 more minutes until the Chinese manufacturing PMI, and we'll watch it together. We could watch this together, guys. This is the Nikkei, and we'll go over the Nikkei, and we will watch how the Chinese manufacturing PMI will affect the Nikkei if it does. Let me see if I can log into this. Okay, here we go. Question: when you're trading the regular trading hours, do you get your levels from long-term charts, 1 hour, 1 day, etc., or do you get your levels from the shorter term? So James, yes, when I'm trading the regular trading hours, I still use higher time frames to get the major support and resistance. But then I use the lower time frames to look at the technical analysis standpoints, right? Just like where I just Googled technical analysis, very basic, flagging patterns, double bottoms, 3-bar reversals, just something very, very basic that could trigger and say, this could be a signal that we are starting to reverse at some type of support and resistance. With so many possible support and resistance zones, how do you choose which ones to play and pay attention to? So this is probably the harder part for myself and for I've noticed a lot of traders is when you pull up a chart, there's a lot of places that you can say this is support, this is resistance, this is support. It's very hard and it could be very complicating depending on the type of trader you are. But I try and make it the most support and resistance that's the most obvious, right? Because to me, the ones that are the most obvious is the ones that more people look at and see. And immediately you could see I have this trend line. This is the Nikkei. And you can see we have this, and I actually had this drawn before we got up here. That was relatively obvious, right? And if we start to zoom out a little bit more, this is kind of an obvious one too, right? This is kind of a zone. So to me, I could actually say that this can be a support and resistance zone. So I try and look at the most clear and obvious ones that just trying not to overcomplicate it, right? And even if we look at, it doesn't matter what market we're looking at, and if we start to zoom out, we just find the most clear and obvious support and resistance. And this is a higher time frame, and I'll work my way on the higher time frame. And you can see this is the NASDAQ on the 60-minute chart. And you can see this is a very clear and very obvious support. And when we broke down, we didn't really get to it. But yeah, this is just clear and obvious. And I try and make it as simple and as clear and obvious because I know the more simple I can make it, the more people are looking at my levels as well. And that also increases the probabilities that maybe it's going to work out. Okay, can you briefly talk about how you use multiple time frame analysis to find a trade? I do that almost every night. And I've been doing it like earlier where I start on a 60-minute, I'll drop down to a 5-minute. Why you don't open a live trading now? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Dakota, crack a silver bullet and down it like rips in pre-market. Oh man, that would kill me if I opened up and I could do some. No, that would kill me. Coach, how important is the tick chart for you? If so, how much more insight versus regular time frame? So I get this question a lot, guys, is how important is the tick chart for me? And essentially it's just another, it's not a time frame. It's just another tool, right? Because as we see, as I'm going back and through these different charts, like this is the NASDAQ one. This is a 60-minute NASDAQ, okay? And I look at the 60-minute and I highlight this, right? And I also highlight these pivots, or I do my technical analysis on a 60-minute chart, and then I'll zoom into a 5-minute chart, and then I'll zoom into a 100 tick chart. And all it is it gives me perspective. It zooms in, and I'll show you guys. I'll show you this difference right here. And I'll give you the example of the trade I took this morning and how I use the different time frames and the reason why I took the trade. So here we go. We're going to do this. We're going to review it live in front of you. And here's a 60-minute chart. So I started this morning looking at the 60-minute chart, and I said, this is a support and resistance zone. And it's never perfect, but essentially based off this, I'm going to look at this level. And I think maybe I could put something like this on there. So I said, this zone is where I'm going to look. If we get up there, I could possibly take a short. So let me show you what I'm looking at. Let's see. I'm just going to try and set it up so you guys could kind of see. I want to make sure it looks the way I'm visualizing it. Ooh. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So that's kind of how I was visualizing this, as a support and resistance zone. And then the next thing I do is I'll let the trade play out, and I'll zoom into a 5-minute chart. And so sure enough, that was this morning. So here's the 5-minute chart. And so I'm watching this 5-minute chart, and we did get up to that. Oh, dang it. That didn't work out too well. Okay, whatever. You guys get the point, right? It was about like this. And we started to rally up. And as soon as we got into that zone on the 5-minute chart, and I said, okay, I am now going to drop down. And I use a 100 tick chart to look for a reversal pattern. So here it is. This is a 100. It's loading. So give it a moment. It'll load to a 100 tick chart. So here's a 100 tick chart. And I'll show you exactly what I was looking at. So here we go. We got up into this zone. And we'll go through this together. This is a 100 tick chart. And that's when I got in short. Obviously, that's where it says I got in short. So essentially, we got into the zone. I could have got a little bit better of an entry, but there's something about the New York Open where the New York Open is very volatile. Like you can see, this was the New York Open at 7. Oh, look at this. Down at the bottom at 7:30, 7:30, 7:30. So this is like seconds, right? So you can imagine how fast this chart moves live, because look down here at the very bottom. Like this is happening in seconds. This chart moves very, very, very fast. And so watching this chart during the New York Open, it could be a lot, right? So that's why I pay attention to the 5-minute chart a lot more. And then I got in short. I actually got in using a limit order, because the reason what I was looking at was this. We started to make lower highs, and then we started, as soon as we broke down, because this is happening really fast, and so there's a lot going on, is we're starting to see this technical reversal pattern on a area of my resistance, right? So this was the resistance from the 1-hour chart, and then I zoomed into the 5-minute, and we started to get up there, and we're making lower highs, but we're making higher lows. So this to me was kind of a flagging pattern, and this is happening within seconds. Okay, guys, this is happening very, very fast. And as soon as we broke down, of course, with hindsight, that would have been the better entry, was to get in right there. But I waited. We went up. We confirmed. We tested this. You guys see this is a very basic technical pattern. We break, we test, and then we continue into the direction. And as soon as we got that, I got in short. I got the test, and I said, okay, you know what? The odds of this continuing down is a lot more likely. My stop loss was up here at, I think it was at 952, I think. And from then on, we just sold off, right? Now, you've seen what this looked like on a 1-minute chart. That's what it looks like on a tick chart. So walking through this trade again, right? So because this is happening very, very fast, is I do trail my stop loss. So as soon as we started the breakdown here, I moved my stop loss to this. We started to break down, and then as soon as we pushed, I got in using a buy limit order, because I was only looking for the bottom of like this zone right around 900. So okay, 900 would be a great place to close out of one. I closed out of one, right? And then we started to consolidate. As soon as we broke down, I moved my stop loss even further. And man, we broke down again. I got out of my second contract, moved my stop loss here, and then I was planning to just trail it, and it continued to sell off. And sure enough, I just got out at that second push. yeah, that was my trade. That's where I made most of my money this morning. I hope that explains it. I think that was more than enough. I'm sure you guys have a lot more questions in regarding to that. Let me see. Okay, I'm actually going to be getting into a order. Let's see if I can get into a trade right here. I'm going to try and get into a trade. And we had the PMI just come out, or the manufacturing just came out, actually. Waiting, let's see. Okay, yeah, so that just came out. So let me talk through this trade. And while I do that, remember, guys, if you guys missed that bell to bell, it's linked in the YouTube chat. If you click on it, fill it out, and you should be good to go. So Danielle and the Topstep team has spoiled you guys, and they've made it to where it's linked for my whole channel. I don't know if they're doing it just because I'm sick or if they just want to spoil you guys, because they always do. But yeah, if you guys missed it, the bell to bell is linked to the YouTube chat. So here's the trade. Very basic, and you guys know exactly what I'm going with on this one. This is a trade, and what I'm looking for is the same thing. Basic technical pattern. I'm a little bit early on that, but I'm okay. So essentially, we have this resistance forming. There's two ways that I could have played this, and I'll zoom in. And I'll explain it a little bit better. So we got to this resistance, right? And of course, this is a resistance trend line, and we sold off, and we went right back up, and we're touching this as well. However, this was one way we could play this. The second way was actually just to get in as we had the retest or the breakout, because going back off these very basic pivots, and if we zoom in, we could see this a little bit better, and I could granulize it. I know this is the Nikkei, and the Nikkei has a thin order book, and it's really ugly to look at, but the concept still applies. So here's the same concept, and it doesn't matter what market you're trading. This technical analysis is technical analysis. Here we go. So this was the resistance, right? So if we start to zoom in, we rallied up, and we've kind of consolidated right here. We broke out. We came back down. We tested, right? And this would have been the better entry. This would have been a much better entry. However, we did have some news coming out. So I was waiting for that news to see if there was going to be something. And that would have been the better entry, because the risk reward, as you can imagine, if this is where my stop loss is, and then instead of me risking this much, my entry would have been probably like right here. And so I would have had half the amount of risk, and my risk reward have been much, much better. However, what I'm doing now, because I waited for the news, is even though my risk reward is not as good now, I have a little bit better of a probability, because I'm getting in as we're starting to break out. And so if we switch back to this higher frame, I'm looking for us to break out. And if we do get a nice breakout, the next level I'm going to look at is, maybe something right around here. Oh, come on. Maybe something like this. So maybe I'm liking this one for a take profit. That seems a little bit more probable. But we'll watch this together, and let's just watch this while I answer a few more questions, and then we'll get close to ending it tonight, guys. Telling you the secret to how to become number one and to make all that money. Do I owe $5 now, right? Is that what happens? Is I owe $5 to Jack or whoever? I owe $5 to the Top Step production team. Yeah, you guys missed that secret. So anyway, what was I saying? So I was answering a question. Sam was saying $5. Okay, $5 to Jack. Okay, Jack, you'll have to tell Jack I owe him $5. I'll say I'll Venmo him. He needs the money. So I was answering a question. It says, Dakota, you don't have volume on your charts. You don't consider it important. And I was answering that question. My volume is very important, but it's not the way that I trade. I'm a technical analysis, off of the charts, support and resistance, and volume is not important to me and my way of trading and my trading style. Andrew Reyes, what market is the most predictable for you? I've adopted your style of trading and it works so well, but I've only ever traded the NASDAQ. And would you try something less volatile and predictable? So yeah, I like the NASDAQ. My favorite is the NASDAQ. I would say like crude oil, NASDAQ, maybe the ES. ES is a lot less volatile. I mean, I can't say one market's better than the other, but it's definitely this type of trading, this technical analysis, in theory should work across, I don't want to say every single market. I would say most, though. Most markets. But I do not consider volume in this type of trading that I do. Coach, how important is the tick chart for you? I think I went through the tick charts. Coach, what gave yourself the confidence to add on your second trade? Trade today? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. I think I covered most of those. And yeah, this trade's actually working out pretty nice, right? This trade's working out really well. We'll see. There is an example of very basic technical analysis. That chart's that one's all screwed up. So let me fix that. Let me see. Okay. Here's a smaller time frame. Dakota, we don't have 100 ticks, only 500. Doesn't matter much. Joseph, on Topstep X, it does not matter very much. It's the same technical analysis, to be honest, guys. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end class a bit early. So I'll give it a few more minutes. I'll try and answer a few more questions. But like I said, everybody has that beautiful link up top that Topstep has been able to give it to you guys. I'm gonna take a drink of water and we'll get to a few more questions. But you guys watch me take this trade live. So there's the entertainment for tonight. I'm actually move my stop loss. Let me see on sometimes Nikkei works really well. I already covered gold. These other markets I'm just going to pass on. We have FOMC and they're not really in a great place that I want to talk about them too much. Like this is crude oil. I didn't have much to say about crude oil. This was gold. It's still messy. NASDAQ was messy and I didn't even talk too much about NASDAQ. Gonna clear my charts up. And then here is the Nikkei trade. So there we go. Dakota, why would you expect the price to break through the trend line at that point? Most people would be expecting it for it to respect the trend line and head down. So here is the reason why I took this trade. So most would expect it to respect this trend line, which it did. Don't get me wrong, it did. It respected this, right? We went up, we tested it, we pulled back. However, if it was going to sell off, I think it would have done it there. However, we rallied all the way back up to it, and we started to gain a little bit of momentum. And so I'm like, there has a decent chance that if we break it, then we'll break it right there. And especially because we did make a new higher low. We started to break out of this, and support becomes resistance, yada yada. And the rest is history, right? Like that was the trade. I'm going to leave this one. I'm actually going to get out of one of these at like 65. And then I'll leave this other one running for the rest of the night. Oh, try to buy Nikkei, Quantara, won't accept the order. That was costly. The 100 trend line is less important than a higher time frame. Do you know when Rooster X is going to be available for the public? I think you mean Topstep X, and I believe sooner rather than later. Let's see if I could get filled here. Okay, so I got filled with one, and I might just let this one run overnight. So there we go. There's $800. I think I'm just going to let this one run overnight. And man, how's that for an example, right? Yeah, that sooner rather than later. That's the gaslight answer, right? Why not move your stop loss to break even? I want to make sure this has room to run, because if we do run, I mean, it's okay if we come back and test this, because it wouldn't be too crazy if we did something like that, right? Maybe we just go straight up, and yeah, maybe we just go straight up. Rooster X is for when MP gets back to his country boy roots. Hey, MP and I both come from a very small town. Yeah, when I was little, I had chickens and ducks and animals and all that as a kid, and go horse riding with my older sister and all that fun stuff. When would you consider adding to this Nikkei trade? I wouldn't add to this one. This is one where I'm going to let this play out overnight. I'm going to just turn off my computer after this class and go just try and get some rest. And I will leave this trade going just like this. The risk reward right now is like 6, 7 to 1, and I'm fine with it. MP is probably on a camel right now. When would you think about rejecting NKD? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. But, let's see. I'm almost running out of stuff to talk about. Dakota, you don't have volume up in your... Okay. Okay. Water fasting results. Lost all my winnings on last trade today on the NASDAQ. How do you forgive yourself for making mistakes? So, now that being said, I'm going to pull up my live account statistics. And that's one of the hardest things to do. It really is. It really is. What, man, Nikkei is just pushing, guys. This is one heck of a trade. Let's see if I could pull this up. Give me a second. I'm pulling up my live account, and I was going to go through some of these statistics. So everybody knows who has followed along with slow markets, who's been on seen shoulder tap. Everyone knows, not last week, but the week before, Mick roasted the heck out of me because I lost $30,000 in a week. And that is very, very hard psychologically, right? Where as a trader, we always want to be at the high watermark, right? And we always want to be making money, make money every single day. We want to be at the high watermark. And then if we lose money on one trade, we want to just be able to make it back up on the next trade. And we never want to have a drawdown. But the reality of trading is that we do have drawdowns. And so let me show you guys this. Let's see. This is my live account. And so, yeah, you can see my average winning day has now increased up to like 658. But I mean, I've been trading pretty well over the last week or so. Let me pull it up. Where was it? Okay, here we go. This was the worst week for a while for me. This was a drawdown, right? Minus basically 10,000 plus 17,600. But I had a 3-day losing streak of about $30,000. And that is very, very hard because it's a drawdown, right? And then ever since then, it's been, it's taken a lot more time. It was a lot easier to lose it than it was to make it back up. But it's less about making it back up and just, being consistent, following your trading plan, following your trading strategy, and getting back up to that high watermark. Fortunately, today I broke past that high watermark, but that's not the reality. This week, maybe I have another drawdown. I mean, you never know, right? Where we're always going to go through the drawdown, and then we start to have a good winning week, and then another drawdown, and then a good winning streak. And it's just like the market, right? The market doesn't move in one direction, and we all know that even though it goes up and to the right in the long run, between point A and point B, from that it's a long journey, and it's ups and downs. Man, this Nikkei trade is quite the trade. Starlight Wig. I mean, you guys see my charts the way I trade them. How often do I pay myself? Once a month is when I will pay myself. This trade might just finish. I think at this point, I'm okay with just doing that. Oh my gosh. We've just been going up. Do I just take 20 and be happy with it? I think I'm going to just take 20 and be happy and be done. Then I could sleep well. Let's see if it will give me 20. I've only taken out 3,400 or 3,500 from that live account. That's all. There you go. I got mine. There we go. That's it for me. I'm happy with that. That was the trade, guys. And it could very well keep going. Quick $1,000. Yeah, there we go. That was in my live account. A quick $1,000. Yeah, wow. That's the great way to start the day. Anyway, last thing I was going to say was I can't even think straight right now. Yeah, the bell to bell. I just want to remind everybody before I get off, if anybody came or went or whatever, that bell to bell has been linked to this YouTube chat for the past, pretty much all class. And then another thing, and something that I need to go and do, because I first started at Topstep as a bet, and I left a review on Trustpilot. I think it was 3 stars. Because there was everything that was going on back in July. But what I actually need to do is I need to go in and update my review on Trustpilot. That's what I need to do. Let's see. I'm going to actually do that now. There's the link. Danielle copied it. I'm going to go in. I'm going to update my review, and because I should. Topstep's been amazing, guys. Like, hands down. I love coaching with them. I love hanging out. I love trading. I love you guys. They've gave me an amazing opportunity to pretty much help traders. And yeah, I'm definitely giving 5-star. I got to be 100% honest with this too. So I'm going to go through and review this and update mine from 3 stars to 5 stars. But other than that, guys, take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully in a lot better, feeling a lot better, sounding a lot better. But that was the trade. It was taken in a live account. Go from there. Take care, everybody.